Sounds good. So that, without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's go into Game 1 of Team Liquid Open number 13's first semifinal, Root Gaming's QXC versus the illustrious Select from Team Dignitas.
Welcome to TeamSpeak, advanced voice communication software for any platform. TeamSpeak allows groups of people to communicate and share information with anyone, via the internet or through private networks. Using your Windows, Mac or Linux-based computer, all you need is a headset with microphone, and in minutes you can be chatting with others in real time, using our crystal clear voice technology.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are live. It's Game 1 day. You got your wish. We have jumped right into the action here for the TeamSpeak Team Liquid Open number 13. It is QXC, a Terran player, versus Select, and QXC is going to be spawning as the purple Terran on Metalopolis in the 12 o'clock position. His opponent, Select, spawning as the blue Terran in the 3 o'clock.
Yet already these sort of positions are going to create a very, very dynamic game because of the fact that they're so close by air positions, and the Banshee opening, despite all the innovations people have been coming up with in TVT, the Banshee opening is still one of the standards that a lot of people still rely on, going to be quite threatening. Also on Metalopolis, there's a good amount of space along the ring of your mineral lines, so those can do quite a bit of damage. But you know, what I'm really concerned about is the fact that QXC is a big drop-oriented player. Could it lead into a lot of aggression in the later stages?
Yeah, you mentioned that about QXC, and we've seen him as of late being utilized exactly what you're talking about. A lot of drop play, a lot of very effective drop play, and so I too am interested. I really feel as if the TVT matchup. I swear to you, Day, it was only 3 months ago where I told you that TVT could put me to sleep, and I think that has changed so much as of late. And it is players like these two that have made some of those significant changes and differences in the way that they play that makes it a much more enjoyable matchup for me personally.
Oh, absolutely. I think Terran vs. Terran is easily one of my top 3 matchups to watch in this game. I mean, it is so dynamic, and I really think that it all revolves around how that tank works. When the tank is sieged up, does such a ridiculous amount of damage, and because things pack so tightly with the amazing pathfinding in this game, it means that things die real quick to tanks. So it's all about maneuvering around the tanks, or even getting air units to, again, try to pick tanks off or do more harassment. So it's a lot of movement, a lot of unit variety, a lot of predicting and mind games going on. And already look at this. We Select no gas, going to be gearing up to do everyone's favorite TVT opening, Mass Expo. Oh, I cannot wait.
Yeah, he is, and in the meantime, QXC with the Marine down at the bottom of his ramp, of course, trying to deny that scouting SCV. He is going to be putting down his factory, while we're just going to see Select probably go for Command Center here, just waiting for the 400 and putting it down right over there. And as you mentioned, we've been seeing this a lot more lately. Really seems to be favored by a lot of Terran. Also gives them a lot of, I guess you could say, different directions that they could go from that point.
Yeah, Select, interestingly, not going down the mass marine route. Throwing down 2 gas geysers right away, always the signal that some sort of tech is coming up. Could begin producing those tanks quite early on. But here's a very cool opening by QXC. Look at this. A reactor going down on that barracks. He's going to give that to the factory and do a double Hellion opening. And there's a starport going down. So QXC looks like he's going to try to bring the noise hard with this early expand style, trying to do damage with Hellions at the front, and following it up with some kind of medevac drop. No, he's not doing anything like that. He's just making Marines.
Yeah, and that SEV was in there to see exactly what was going on. He is going to have a single Hellion go out of that factory. I still think maybe he might go ahead and make a move. Just wanted to possibly get a couple of units out because we do have a few from Select coming up. Good thing that Hellion did make its way out, flaming those Marines at the bottom of the ramp while they are being backed up by the Marines of QXE, and he easily cleans that off. And nope, he'll just go ahead and put a tech lab on that factory. And one of the beauties of being a Terran is you can make those type of decisions. There it goes. Tech lab will go to the starport, and he can just mix it up any way he wants.
We do see Select now. He's going to be building a factory, but it's quite late. We see that bunker having to go down. Select getting a little bit of interruption going on in his build. Again, notice how much space there is around Select's natural expansion. A lot of space for QXE. Just swing around the right side, which is exactly what he's going to be doing. And right as he is doing that harassment at the backside, look at this factory landing in the main of Select, in the smoke. Can begin producing some sort of Hellion, but instead we see him just hanging out for now and forcing Select to lift.
Yeah, either way, you know, Select is thankful that he put that supply depot back there. A lot of players will leave and kind of ignore that back, and a lot of shenanigans could go on back there. But just as you called, we do see the Hellion being built, and not a whole lot is being done about this. We do have a couple Marines coming out, but there's still this force at the front. And, well, here comes the Hellion with the Banshee. It's chaos.
Oh gosh, Select is in an atrocious position. I would not be surprised to see a GG any second now. I mean, that Banshee is going to be doing a ton of damage. Look at that great micro by QXE. Has to be a little bit careful, though. Select is also controlling things very, very wisely himself. The only way that Select can really hope to come back out of this is by trying to play very, very well with that Marine positioning and then try to take that command center expansion up as quickly as he can. He is making SCVs out of his second command center, though, so he could get a chance to pull back through.
Yeah, this as far as this Banshee is concerned, Cloak is finished, and it can turn it on, but there you go. You see the scan put down by Select, and he does have a nice job as the Banshee does skirt away. He does have enough for at least one more scan. Banshee number 2 comes in. It will cloak up, and will he scan? Did he actually... No, he's still got a single scan left, and he's just going to wait it out. He's got the Viking there, and he will take it out, trying to get that siege tank, and then bouncing off of some barracks. Not sure if he chose his targets too wisely there, but continuing with this Banshee harassment. And I cannot believe this factory's still in here.
Yeah, and I cannot believe that Banshee actually managed to survive. Look at that, the health down so low. Another Banshee over by the mineral line with 2 health left remaining. Select is trying to spread all his Vikings out very thinly. QXE, interestingly, continuing to make Banshees. The factory is still there. One Heli manages to pop out. Let's see if we can get that last shot off. Oh, will it? How did it not kill anything?
Yeah. I don't know. It made the gas SCVs really sad, but we got another Banshee coming in. It's got cloak, but it has not cloaked up yet. There it does last second, but it gets taken down. Finally, the factory is going to get lifted off by QXE. He could choose to chase with the Vikings, but we'll see. He doesn't have that far to fly, but he may end up losing that. Meanwhile, QXE is going to retreat back. So a moment of opportunity there that did kind of slip through the fingers of QXE. Now Select with his command center up already in orbital, and it looks like he's going to drop down and do a little harassment of his own.
Yeah, trying to do some damage. Let's see if QXE can pick off a Viking, and whoa, looks like everyone's in the mood for close calls today. And you know, if we go to the resource counting station, we can see that QXE is only 5 food ahead and just now taking his expansion. Essentially an even game at this point in time, and this is the always big concern whenever you watch QXE play. Whenever he starts getting really eager with that aggression, he can be very over-aggressive and cost himself extra units. He's shed 2 or 3 Vikings and 4 or 5 Hellions with that main harass, and look at Select scanning, picking off yet another Banshee, and it looks like it's been really QXE whittling himself away.
And it's really surprising to me as well. Well, here comes a big army for QXE. Of course, you can see that Stim, Combat Shield, and +1 is going down. He's managed to tech to the Banshees, do some harassment with them, even got the Hellions down. You know, not really overall doing a whole lot, but keeping his opponent inside of his base. Here we've got more Banshee harassment coming up while his army of Marines makes their way forward. And he is just going to hit with this perfect, hey, I've got Stim, hey, I got Combat Shield, and hey, I got +1. And if we can get past the siege take, this could be nasty.
That's such a great timing. It looks like he's advancing forward. He has to be a little careful. No, he's advancing forward before he has the combat shield done. There it finally finishes. He's got to be very careful, though. An amazing timing advancement, hitting the +1 and the combat shield at the same time. The Banshee does fall. But QXC did do some nice little bit of damage there, picking off that tank. And I love that point you stated earlier. The fact that the Banshees were not doing a lot of damage directly, but kept all those units pinned back, because look at QXC. He's able to freely move around the map. And QXC is actually looking like he wants to gear up to expand to the top left natural.
Yeah, we'll have to keep an eye over there, see what he's doing. We do have a little SCV chase going on with the Benny Hill music in the background. And as you mentioned, QXC just kind of like circling outside. He can make sure that that third doesn't get taken. He can come in from the back. And he did take out a siege tank and did some damage there on the forward area. Now, he is continuing this Banshee harassment. He's been working on this supply depot. Finally, we're going to see another scan. And not going to get the supply depot as the repairing SCV comes in and saves the day. He'll continue to scout around the map. And you see that we're really not seeing... Well, we've got some medevacs coming out. But I'm curious about Select's overall plan here.
I mean, really, in Select's mind, he is just trying to hold on and play stably and not take that much more damage. In Terran vs. Terran, when your tank count gets sufficiently high, you essentially have an impenetrable ball, and it's very difficult for the opponent to really do much. And oh, it looks like the Banshee's going to try to do a little bit of harassment. Does he have enough for a scan? It looks like not at one, not at the other, so that Banshee will be able to do a little bit of guaranteed damage. What Select is trying to do is get to a critical tank mass, and it looks like QXC making a little bit of misclicking errors. QXC knows that he doesn't have a high enough tank count, so what QXC is trying to do is to just take more space, allowing him to expand more, which means maybe he'll get enough units in the later stages. But we can see QXC quite a ways ahead in every other regard. Upgrades, stim, combat shield, all that's already finished. He even has Banshees with Cloak already done, but Select has 2 factories and is churning out the tanks. If he can get enough tanks, he can hopefully entrench the center position and get a gold.
Yeah, he is just now putting some emphasis on his Zavio infantry there, getting his stim and combat shield as well. He is putting down that third command center, which he'll eventually want to take with. We do have one Marine over there. I thought I heard another Banshee getting into the mix. No, we have a drop in the back. QXC is going to put some Marines and Marauders down, takes out a missile turret, and will attempt to go for a supply depot as well. Might actually do some pretty decent damage here.
And a counter drop by Select doesn't really do too much. Select will end up pulling back out of the main. It looks like the Vikings from Select are moving their way over to the corner. And QXC going to try to micro as best he can to pick off some SCVs, anything useful. Looks like that will not be the case. But I want to go take a trip to QXC's main and look at these 2 barracks that are on the right. It looks like they only have 1 Marauder queued up at each of them, but just a few seconds ago, there were 4 or 5 Marauders queued up, and it had been that way for minutes in this game. QXC having a little bit too much to focus on, over-spamming a little bit, and it was costing him quite a bit with all that idle money.
And he is just now starting to get those out. Now it looks like he's started to settle down a little bit. Oh my gosh, and we do see QXC fighting that command center that's being built just south of the natural expansion of Select. And he might, well, he's already taken out the SCV. SCV coming in to try to finish it. It does finish it, and it is burning. It is on fire. And we're going to see all the SCVs pulled, losing a little bit of mining time there. And I like how QXC is just kind of poking in. He's like that chicken with that weird neck, and he's just kind of like poking in and doing some damage. But maybe he needs to run a little bit quicker. Select does decide to move forward. 1 siege tank down, a second one down. Oh, this is the massacre.
Select needs to be so careful. All those Marines need to stay in range of those siege tanks. That is the only way that he can actually manage to do enough damage to this force from QXC. But it looks like, oh no, Select realizes that there's mainly Marauders in that troop, and the QXC is so low on health. Look at the health status on all those units that are retreating, all in the deep oranges and reds. Well, QXC, even though he may have had the bad end of that exchange, has had a huge window to add on a bunch of unit-producing structures. Look at his main. 4 barracks, 1 factory, 1 starport. Then look at his natural. 3 more barracks and 2 more factories. And then look at his third base. Another factory. QXC is going heavy into macro play.
Yeah, he is, and I guess that he realizes that he's got to keep up with the amount of tanks that Select does have right now. So it looks like he's going to try to take a position on the West Selnaga Tower. I do like the fact Drop actually returning back to Select's base, because it looks like QXC has a drop coming in. So I do like this sensor tower that is here for Select, because those drops had to be getting annoying. And here we do have QXC moving in.
Ooh, and it does look like Select is also doing an intimidating push along the left side of the map, and their QXC does drop. There are so many Marines for Select. I think QXC is just going to be shedding units, and it looks like QXC will need to pull out quickly, or else he's going to lose both of these medevacs as well. Uh-oh, looks like QXC is just going to abandon everything. Select really doesn't have anything left mining in the main, but at the same time, he does not have much money. QXC is positioned on the left side of his third base, has a big amount of units being produced, and we can see QXC is a little bit ahead in the food count, but this is a very scary force from Select.
Yeah, just a little bit ahead, and you know what? Oh, hold on. We've got it moving in. Here, Select is going to attack the third of QXC. Small army there, quickly taken out. If these tanks siege up, it is going to be hard to get him out of this third. And all the units of QXC just running into that tank line. Marines are going to move forward. They'll do some nice damage themselves as they do take position at the top of the ramp. And will those units move forward? No, I think Select is, quite frankly, having so many tanks there to hold that. Very nice.
Yeah, this is exactly what we were talking about earlier week, that Select was just looking to get a key number of tanks. We see that right now he has about 8 tanks out in that top left area, and it is around that number that it starts to be extremely difficult for any number of forces to approach it once they get sieged up. So Select, if he can get in good positions with them, is guaranteed to do hard lockdowns like on that expansion. We see, oh, QXC going to do a little Marauder dropping on those tanks, and look at that perfect placement. It looks like he's going to be able to take all of those tanks out. Very bad idea to leave a couple of tanks undefended like that, but you know what? Select doesn't mind, because he is doing sieging at the bottom side of QXC's main.
Yeah, this could be real icky here for QXC. Select with about 8 tanks at the bottom, just south of his base. He's also going to drop some units on top of these defensive tanks inside the base of QXC. And although QXC did a good job of getting rid of those forces at his third, he's going to have a real tough time dealing with this. He doesn't have nearly as many tanks. He is going to load up 4 more Marauders, see if he can do some more trickery to get in here. He is going to have a siege advantage here as a bunch of units come in, and he does get some initial damage done. This could go to QXC.
Oh, Select getting a little over-eager, was in a good position, but just sprinted forward a few steps too soon. And look at this, a couple of Marines left. But oh no, we go into Select's main. Look at this, he only has 4 barracks, none with reactor, and also at his expansion he has 3 more barracks with no add-ons at all. Select is going to have a hard time keeping up with his rate of income, so we suddenly have an even game again. But in terms of production, QXC has so many more structures that can produce quickly.
Well, and even game, I think Select realizes that and goes, okay, I need to find an advantage here. He takes a 4th and a 5th, and he's going to move in on the 3rd of QXC once again. He really, really hugs that command center before he just goes to town on the SCVs, and they get ripped apart. And I love this idea here by Select, just buying himself some time, trying to interrupt the economy here of QXC, but at what cost? He is going to lose some medevacs here as the Vikings get down, and all of his units will be completely eradicated there. Not sure that he wanted to just give those up so easily.
Well, look at this. Select using that as an opportunity to get in a great position, now sieging up in the main of QXC, and again and again and again, when tanks get sieged up and have those Marines there to support, it is so scary to try to just stem and break those tank lines. And Select has a very clear sense of the tactics he wants to abuse, just hitting the left side of the 3rd and going back to the main. And it looks like QXC going to try to do a sprint up. He picks off all the Marines, and there's the siege up. But look at Select, just swinging back around with all those infantry and having a big misclick.
Wow, yeah, that was some fantastic control by QXC there, really handling both the army in his base and what was approaching his natural expansion. Did a great job, cut off a bunch of units, managed to send them back. And I think, just quite frankly, even though Select has almost every single battle had some sort of a tank advantage, he doesn't really have these units to be supporting him. And so QXC is really taking advantage of this, and he wants to push and finish this.
And it looks like QXC trying to just dart down that right lane, doesn't exactly have the unit mix he needs to be able to break a whole bunch of siege tanks. It looks like he is just swapping down to the left lane, and at the same time Select has this very scary looking medevac swinging back along the left side to do pressure on that third base. There's a Marine at the Xel'Naga Watchtower, gets absolutely demolished. Select trying to swing around. There's the players scanning one another. Let's see if Select can get the siege up first. He does. Oh no, and that's going to be a huge amount of damage there by Select. The fact that he got the siege up first. More Marauders for QXC though, so that means he will be able to pick the tanks off if he can get there in time. But oh no! Oh, QXC trying to load medevacs into, excuse me, Marauders into the medevacs, but those get picked off, and QXC's force gets crushed.
Yeah, that's a pretty devastating loss for QXC here as another tank moves in. And meanwhile, Select is going to spread himself out, but I think in a very, very smart way as he sends units down the right side on the base to QXC and also occupies the left, now bringing those together at the gold. We do have these two very smart siege tank placements here by QXC with the Xel'Naga Vision, but here's what happens when you're up against another Terran and this happens is you drop it right down on there, and he just drops the siege tanks right on top of it to take control. And Select doing a great job. And here comes QXC once again.
QXC with just an astounding macro, coming back with more and more larger forces, but Select has been a little bit more consistent with his production over time. Just always seems to have a good mix of Marines, medevacs, and those tanks. But QXC is way far ahead in the upgrade front. Look at that. With 2-1 upgrades versus Select's nothing.
Yeah, and, you know, it looked like Select was kind of falling behind in that earlier, but he's going to make another push up the left side. QXC Army is going to go down, not before doing a little bit of damage, but a lot of medevac count, about 4 tanks, and a few Marines. Marauder's going to meet up on here, and actually QXC going to get some value out of there while he's pushing up the right side as well. Tank siege and unsiege as he moves forward, and once again without support, QXC's going to manage to do a little bit of damage here.
Yeah, QXC just been consistently a little bit too over-aggressive this game, not having enough Marines in his compositions. His Marauders are not really doing the damage that they need, and without that many tanks as well, QXC just cannot combat this absurd amount of Marines that we're seeing Select output. I mean, he has essentially a Marine medevac army with just an afterthought of tanks thrown in there. And given the fact that Select is always able to siege those tanks at first, has been helping him in every single battle. And we see QXC trying to take a fourth, but it is getting shut down hard. Here's the tank sprint from Select. He scans, he sees there's an opportunity to siege up. And will he get the siege up in time? And it looks like QXC going to be able to dart up there in time first, but just does not quite have the army size he needs.
Yeah, Select has just been doing a phenomenal job in this particular, man. There's the GG. You know, Select did not want production or did not want any sort of mining, any sort of economy coming out of that third. And he did a great job picking at that over and over and over again. And as you mentioned, you know, maybe the unit composition, although the macro was coming out well and we did see some nice little drops and moves by QXC. Well, what do you think, Sean? Overall, where was the downturn there?
You know, QXC, I think, QXC has such a wide amount of experience with aggression that he knows what it means in a very broad game sense for him. In terms of little specifics, you heard me criticize things like, you know, QXC was tossing away a few too many units here and there, you know, like the Hellions and the Banshees at the start. However, QXC knows that this gives him a chance to expand, that this gives him a chance to get a couple more upgrades early, that this gives him a chance to keep his opponent on his toes with a lot of those early Marine Marauder pushes, because all those units from Select were pulled back into the main to try to defend against QXC's Banshees. However, QXC just waited a little too long to add on all of those unit-producing structures, and despite the fact that QXC is known for being relentlessly aggressive, Select had very, very well thought out, small, selective spots where he was aggressive. He consistently moved along the left side of the third, or tried to push into the main with medevacs. And that was really the only 2 plays that Select was using aggression-wise for much of the mid-game. Just back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And that's something that's always very, very exciting to see, is a player who knows what the strong things he wants to exploit are. You don't need a huge amount of variety with your play. You just need to consistently abuse specific weaknesses again and again and again and again until the opponent crumbles. And once Select started doing that, we saw QXC unsure if he wanted to push down the left lane, the top lane, drop, defend, expand. So very, very, very calm, well thought out play by Select.